Welcome everyone, and today on our board game vlog, we're going to be discussing Captain's Log Crisis Detected from Tally Mark Entertainment. Let's get to it. Yeah!
Captain's Log. Our recent space mining expedition has been a success, and there are a number of other mining crews out here. We've handled some small crises, but luckily we're on our way back with our valuable cargo. The darkness of space has many hidden catastrophes and some not-so-friendly ships. I must prepare the crew to resolve any issues. We may need to change course in an instant. Onward at light speed.
Hey everyone, and today we're talking about Captain's Log Crisis Detected from Tally Mark Entertainment. Hello, Sarah.
Hi there.
So, can you tell us a little bit about Captain's Log Crisis Detected?
I certainly can. So, Captain's Log Crisis Detected is a 3 to 5 player game where we are sort of captains of these fleets of ships, and we are carrying cargo. But the universe is not a kind place, and there are a lot of other captains out there, and we will run into those captains occasionally and get into fights.
Okay.
So the as we fight with other captains, we might have our cargo destroyed. We may be able to destroy other captains' cargo. And that's kind of the point of the game, is to destroy as much of the other captain's cargo as you can while protecting as much of it of your own as you can. So the game is pretty simple. Would you like me to tell you how it plays?
Please.
Okay, so what's going to happen at the beginning of the game is each player is going to get a stack of 2 types of cards. So we're going to get these rocket cards here, and they are double-sided. And then we're going to get these cargo cards as well. And again, they're double-sided too. Now the cargo cards have numbers on the backs, 1 through 5. Each captain gets 1 of each type of cargo, and they're worth this number of points at the end of the game. So if my number 3 cargo survives to the end of the game, that's 3 points. What we're going to do with this here is we're going to take these and we are going to sort of shuffle them in a way so that the other players don't know which ones of these are which. And then we're going to lay these out in front of us. So I'm going to say, all right, this one right here is going to go here, and this one. And this is just so that the other captains at the table don't know which of your ships contains which type of cargo. So here's all of our cargo laid out. Then we're going to take each of our 5 ships and we're just going to put 1 over each of these here, like this. Each player is also going to get a hand of 5 cards, and that's what we need to start the game. So this is what it's going to look like when we get started. I'm going to quickly set up for another player. Now this is a minimum of 3 players, and Nick and I did try to sort of jerry-rig a 2-player experience out of this. My parents normally stay with us, but they do travel sometimes, and unfortunately they are on the road right now. So where we normally could scrounge up a 3rd player, even during pandemic season, we were not able to scrounge up an extra player. We are trying to keep our home as
COVID-free as possible.
Yes, so we are not having anyone over right now, anyone for any reason. So since my parents were not in town, we were unable to play with a 3rd or 4th player, unfortunately. So normally you would need 3 or 4 players. Nick and I tried a sort of 2-player experience. I tried a solo experience, and we tried double handing so that it would have simulated like a 4-player experience. And I think with a bit of work, the designers could probably offer solo and 2-player variations on the rules. But it will take a little bit of additional rules and things like that. So that is part of the reason we're not doing a full-on playthrough video this game, because just with the 2 of us, I don't think the game is showcased in exactly the best light, just because it is a minimum of 3 players, and without a developed a rule set for solo or 2-player play, then I think that it's not really fair to the publisher to offer any sort of criticisms on the game when we didn't really play it in the way it was designed. That being said, I do feel like we've played a couple games of this. I do feel like there are a few legitimate criticisms that we could make about the game, but because we didn't play in the way that it was intended to be played, we don't really feel like it's fair to offer those criticisms.
Indeed.
So instead, we're just going to tell you about how the game plays and show you some of that. So this would be a setup for 2 players, and we'll pretend that there's a 3rd player set off to the side here as well. So this is what it would look like when you get started, plus the extra player over here. Every player starts with 5 of these cards in hand. Now I'm going to show you mine. Normally these would be hidden. But there are 3 different types of cards in the game. So we're going to focus on these 3 cards right here. There are command cards, crisis cards, and crew cards. The command cards are sort of like action cards that you can play on your turn or in response to other cards that are played on you. You can play any number of these on your turn that you wish. The crisis cards you can only play once per turn unless you have a command card that says otherwise. And the crisis cards are played on ships of your opponents. So if, for example, I decided to play this crisis card, I would select a ship of Nick's. Now, I don't know which cargo each of these ships is carrying, so I would kind of hope that maybe that's a good place to put this. Hopefully that's a high value cargo on that ship there, and by placing this crisis on the ship, I might be able to destroy that ship, keeping Nick from being able to score those points. So we have the crisis cards, and then we have crew cards. Now, crew cards can be played attached to any existing ship in my fleet, just however I want. I could just do that if I wanted to. Or, and then he's there for the remainder of the game unless a command card is played to remove him, or unless this ship is destroyed. But there's a second thing that you can do with crew cards, and that is when a crisis has been played on you. If you have the required crew member or members in your hand, you can reveal them, discard them, and then discard the crisis without it blowing up your ship. Unfortunately, though, that is the only way to get crisis cards resolved without them ending up in the destruction of your ship. So if on Nick's turn, this card were in front of his ship and he did not have a captain, security, or 2 recruit cards in his hand, then unfortunately, unless he was able to do some fancy footwork some other way, this crisis would resolve at the end of his turn, blowing up this ship. That means that at the end of the game, when we go to calculate our scores, if Nick was not eliminated from play, then he would get to add up all of the scores of all of his ships, except any that had been demolished. So those are the 3 types of cards that you will see in the game. On your turn, you can play up to 1 crisis card, any number of crew cards you want, and any number of command cards you want. Once you finish playing cards, you'll draw back up to 5, and then it's the next player's turn. You can also, on your turn, instead of playing any cards, you can discard your entire hand of 5 cards and just draw a new hand of 5 cards. Now, trading is an option in this game, and when you trade, you have to trade evenly. So if I have 2 cards that I want to trade, I can only trade them for 2 cards. So maybe I have 2 cards I want to trade. I'd say, hey, will you trade me this card and this card for, I really need 2 crew members, maybe an engineer and a medic. If we agree to the trade, we'll swap cards. However, you don't have to be honest when you trade. So if you really need a captain or a security or 2 recruits, and you say, hey, would you trade me, do you have a captain? You'd trade me. I'm like, yeah, I have a captain, and I'll trade it to you for a crisis card. And you say, okay, and we make the trade. The trade is made face down, so nobody sees the cards except the players who trade them. You could have lied to me, and you could have given me, instead of a crisis card, you could have given me a different crew card. Or I could have lied to you, and instead of giving you a captain, maybe I give you a crisis card or a command card. So I think the trading would probably be an interesting feeling throughout the game, but because it was just Nick and I, I think that we didn't get to experience that quite as fully as if we had been playing with more players. But I do think that may have been an interesting part of the game. Okay, so the game ends when one player has had all of their ships and their fleet destroyed. So when that happens, all the other players who still have fleets like active, they would reveal their cargo that is present on all of their non-destroyed ships, and whoever has the most valuable cargo would win the game. So yeah, that's Captain's Log Crisis Detected. Box time is 25 minutes. I feel like that might be a little long, but maybe with more players, it's accurate. 3 to 5 players, ages 8 and up, from Tally Mark Entertainment. Like I said, I feel like because we were not able to play the game in the way in which the designers intended, I don't really feel like it's fair to offer any real criticism. I feel like I am experienced enough with games to believe that the criticism that I do have about this game, I'm pretty sure that I understand this game well enough that the criticisms that I have for the game stand, and I don't need to be able to experience it completely in order to form those conclusions. However, I might be wrong about that, and I would hate to play the game incorrectly, right? Because we're not playing with the proper player count, and then say, oh, well, this is wrong, or that's broken, or this doesn't work the way it should, or if I'm not really playing it the way that it was intended to be played.
Giving it a fair shake.
Exactly. So because we are not able to do that at this time, we're not going to offer any criticisms or critiques of the game. And we are also not going to do the full playthrough. But I hope that this overview sort of shows you the components of the game, shows you sort of how it works, gives you some idea about whether or not it might be something that your game group would like or not. I think this game is going to be crowdfunded. Is that right, Nick?
Yes, there will be a website in the description. There will be a link in the description below talking more about it. And this is a pre-production copy, so this is not.
Yes, it is.
The
And
final.
the people who sent it to us included this nice little note, and they talked about how they actually made this box like from hand, and they had all of these cards printed and cut at like their local like Staples sort of thing. So I think that as for a prototype, it actually looks really, really good. I think they did a really nice job with it, especially because I think it was definitely a labor of love to create a prototype version that looks this good. So I think that they did a great job with that. I also think I really like how when you have a ship, if it gets like exploded, then when you flip your card over, then there's like all the pieces of the ship. I think that that's really cute and very thematic.
And the artwork's really cute too.
Yeah, I think it's a fun, simple game, and if your game group likes Take That or very aggressive games, then this would be a good fit, especially if you play lighter, quicker games.
And with a lot of people. Like if you have like,
yeah.
an average of like 3 to 5 or maybe even a little more, and you've got someone that wants to play something different and then another group wants to play something quick and simple. And also this could be even kind of like a gateway game for somebody because it's not that hard.
Yeah, I think it's easy enough to where even baby gamers or non-gamers could probably pick up on the rule set pretty easily, because on your turn you can basically play any cards you want, with the exception that you can only play one of the crisis cards. And their cards are really easy to understand. Either they just do exactly what they tell you they do, or they're crew cards and they're put on a ship. There's not so much going on here that I don't feel like non-gamers or baby gamers couldn't pick up on it with a little bit of patience and a little bit of help from a more experienced player. So yeah, I think it's definitely good for introductory games or filler game, or a game where you need higher player count, where your players are comfortable with sometimes negative player interactions, like the lying when you trade and just blowing up each other's fleets.
Yeah, that little take that of it.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a little bit of our discussion and overview of the Captain's Log Crisis Detected from Tally Mark Entertainment. I hope you all enjoyed this discussion vlog, and stay tuned for our other upcoming vlogs. Well, until next time, we'll talk to you all later. Toodles!